All right, and we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, Barn on 11970. Thank you, as always, for hearing what I have to say, and I hope you do, because it has been a little while since I've made a video, but this is one of those situations that I had to really talk about, because I think this is important and could be a turning point in a lot of crazy things that have been happening for years now. Now, those of you who've been following my channel for a while know that I used to talk about fake news and how there were crisis actors and things like that since about 2011, 2012 is when I started. And back then, I was getting a lot of ridicule, a lot of attacks, people calling me paranoid and crazy conspiracy theorist and all this stuff. But we're starting to see more and more with what happened recently with the Covington kids and that situation and this particular situation, that there are people in the leftist, and I'm not going to say everybody on the left. We have to be very careful about that. We cannot pigeonhole every single person into a category. But those that control the media, those that are in Hollywood, it should be obvious to even the more trustworthy person that these things are occurring more and more, not because they're brand new, but because they're being exposed for what they truly are. And that's one of the purposes of my channel for the longest time, awakening one person at a time. That was my motto, is because we could really awaken people and they start paying attention more. And that is very important. Now, when this story, I'm going to give a little background for people who may or may not know about this situation, and welcome to those who are coming in, and I hope you'll bear with me with this, because I do tend to be long-winded, but it does serve a purpose, because I want to be as detailed as possible so people that may not know what's going on or get misinformation from the media can get a bigger picture. So basically, in a nutshell, this quote-unquote actor, who was a quote-unquote star on the TV show Empire, which I've never seen, back in late January, said that he was attacked by, now I don't know if he specifically said two white people, but he did say MAGA hat wearing Trump supporters. Now this supposedly happened around 2 o'clock in the morning in Chicago, which is extremely left. It was during that huge snowstorm where it was about -20 degrees out, and supposedly these two individuals attacked him, put a noose around his neck, said this is MAGA country, which I can't see anybody really doing in Chicago. I mean, it's not impossible. But long story short, the media and Hollywood and even some of the 2020 Democratic candidates jumped on it. Now, here's the part that I think is kind of ironic, because you get people like Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and others who, as soon as the information came out, where he gave this ABC speech, and he did a pretty good acting job, he fooled a lot of people, but they were quick to judge, calling it a, quote, modern-day lynching, which, by the way, both Cory Booker and Kamala Harris are trying to pass a law that's called the anti-lynching law. What a coincidence. There are some that are speculating that this could go even deeper than just an actor trying to basically increase his fame. Because when you are labeled a victim, especially in Hollywood, what happens? You get book deals, you get movie deals, your salary seems to just miraculously increase, you have plenty of people on your side. There's a lot of motivation for people to do the wrong thing. But you notice, especially in Chicago, there are dozens upon dozens of crimes daily. People getting shot and killed. Real hate crimes that are going on, but never see the light of day. But if you're an actor, you seem to be held above the standards of everybody. Now, it ends up, this is where I think there's something more to this than what is being portrayed on the surface even now. Because as of last night, or this morning, one of the two, he basically turned himself in. He's being arrested because they basically have concluded, and it's still alleged at this point, we have to say that he staged the whole situation, made it up. Now, a lot of people in the leftist news media are basically saying, oh, they messed it up for the African American community, the LGBTQ community, instead of saying, well, what about the people that might have been accused? Because they also said, and of course, you know, we have to take this with a grain of salt, whether it's true or not, that he was basically, if it continued to go on unchecked, and people continued to believe his story, that they were basically going to just pick two random white people and accuse them of being the ones who attacked him. Now, what do you think would happen to those two individuals? First of all, they would be in federal prison for a hate crime, which means probably about 10 to 20 years sentence. Now, what do you think if they were put in general public in a federal prison, and people are notified that they are the people that created this hate crime? What do you think would happen to those two people? Well, Neo says first dislike. Don't worry, there'll be more. There's always going to be people who want to try and silence information. That's been the story of my channel since I started it back in 2011. This is how they try and stop information. But here's the thing that I find interesting. So don't worry about the dislikes. That's going to happen. So this person allegedly, and I'm still going to say allegedly, but it looks, you know, like they say, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. But he not only staged this situation. Now here's the parts that kind of send a warning signal to me to pay attention to this even deeper than what's being exposed right now. I think this goes deeper than an actor just deciding I'm going to build up my fame. They found the two individuals, which, by the way, they keep saying are Nigerian. From the information that I've learned, these people were born in America. So why they keep calling them Nigerian, I don't understand this. But they were friends with him. They also had, a week prior to this whole quote-unquote event from happening, he supposedly got a letter in the mail saying, basically giving death threats, where somebody cut out, you know, letters from a magazine, so this way you can't use signature verification or having handwriting experts try and find out who did it. Now, you would think if you were a criminal, think from a criminal's point of view, if you were going to, and I don't recommend anyone ever doing it, sending a terrorist threat to somebody via letter, and you cut out letters from a magazine, instead of a whole bunch of magazines, the people decide to use one magazine, what would you do with that magazine once you finish cutting out those letters? Well, you guessed it, they kept it for some reason. So that's part of the evidence. Now, that's pretty simple to basically match up the cut letters of that letter to the magazine. So first of all, they did not throw out the magazine. Okay, seems a little interesting, but hey, you never know. Stupid people do stupid things. Now, we find out that Jussie Smollett, I think is correct way to say it, paid these people $3,500, and he paid by check. Now, I want you to think about that. If you are going to create a crime where you're going to hire somebody to beat anybody up, which, again, I would not recommend doing, this is a person who's an actor on a fairly famous show where he is supposedly, again, I've never seen it, a regular actor on the show. So he's not some, you know, sideline character that's just in the background. He's an actor that plays a part that probably gets paid anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 an episode. So this is not a person on food stamps. He could have easily paid these people cash. Cash is untraceable. But he chooses to pay by check, which he had to sign. They had to sign to endorse to cash. Something does not seem right about this. Now, one of the things they are going to probably start talking about even further, which is what caught my attention to this, when the Chicago police were doing a live interview this morning about what was going on and why he was arrested and everything. They were talking about how they found all the camera evidence, that cameras were all over Chicago, and they just happened to spot these people. And that's what helped to trace who these people were, to find out that they were friends of his. It would not surprise me if all of a sudden there's going to be more legislation adding more cameras around the United States of America Corporation. It would not shock me at this point, because they can use the, oh, look, because of those wonderful cameras all over the city that so many of you hate because it invades your privacy, it just happened to foil a potential crime. Now, why do I think this could be a possibility? Because now they're saying they're going to be very lenient with this person. They are saying that because of his wealth and his fame, he'll probably get a lawyer that's, good enough to get him off without any jail time. Now, this is a federal crime that he's been charged with, and that's not including the letter that they're saying he may be allegedly involved in as well, because there was white powder found in this letter, which makes it a terrorist threat. That involves the feds. If he doesn't get any jail time, what message does this send to people? That if you're famous, you'll first automatically be believed by the news media. You will be protected and loved throughout the majority of the leftist community. And again, the Hollywood and the leftist democratic political parties. Which, by the way, when Kamala Harris and Cory Booker were confronted after they found out that this could have been a hoaxed and staged event, and they asked, well, you originally, when this story came out, you originally posted tweets stating that this was a modern-day lynching. What do you think about that now? And miraculously, after they were dumbfounded, caught like not knowing what to say, especially Kamala Harris, they then turn around and say, well, we don't want to speculate. We don't want to rush to judgment. We're going to wait to hear the evidence. And yet they did not do that the moment that this story broke. They did rush to judgment, calling it a modern-day lynching. Why? Because it fits an agenda. Now, we wonder why people are so upset with laws in this country. Because apparently it seems if you are famous or you are wealthy, you can get away with crimes that the average person could not. Because if this was not an actor and they did not have so many politicians and news media on his side, number one, you probably wouldn't have even heard of this story, especially if it happened to be a reverse racial situation, and they would be in jail. Now, this person could get away not scot-free, but what? Some hours of community service, maybe? Now, obviously, we don't know. I would assume that they should use him as an example of things you're not supposed to do, because imagine if he got away with this. All of that hatred and division that would have been created by this and continued. How much more violence? Because how many people on the other side would have now sought out MAGA hat wearing people? Because supposedly if you wear a hat, you're automatically listed as a racist. And if you look at my channel, and I've said this for years, there's an old saying that says, tell a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. Now, that doesn't mean it becomes the truth. It just means that people hear it enough, they repeat it enough, it becomes truth to them. Now, as we've seen with the Covington situation with the kids, where they were saying that one quote-unquote smug kid went up to the Native American, and he was so smug, and look, they're all racists. And all you had to do was watch the extended version of that video to find out that it was the exact opposite. And yet the media doesn't cover it that way. When was the last time somebody like, for example, Don Lemon did a thing called investigative reporting? This is why for years I've been warning people about this stuff. And I think we haven't heard the last of this. I really believe that there is even a bigger agenda. Now, I could be wrong. Again, people will say, crazy conspiracy theorist. I've heard that for almost a decade at this point, getting close to it. I was talking about fake news before it became a popular thing to say. The media does not do investigative reporting. Hollywood is there to have a certain agenda. Just deleting a tweet when you said, like, for example, that quote-unquote comedian, that red-headed one that held up the Donald Trump's severed head thinking that's a joke. I won't even dignify in saying her name. But when the Covington kid story came out, she was asking people to give them addresses of those children so they can injure them. These were grown adults threatening the lives of children, and many people seem to be okay with this. Is this the direction this country wants to go? This is why I basically don't watch the news. I'll watch it on YouTube, little clips and everything for entertainment. I find it funny at this point. I don't take any of it seriously. But it influences many, many people. Why do they do this? Because they get paid. Notice that many stories don't get changed because if you click on their video, you click on their website or whatever links they have advertisement. They make money off of it. It's clickbait that people follow all the time. That's why I tell people, like, for example, if you don't like CNN, and you have every right not to, they want you to click on their channel, even to thumb it down, even to say nasty thing in the comments section, because they make money off of you. You want to change things, you need to, as they say in the movie War Games, the best way to win is not to play. And I've been trying to explain this to people for years. Don't play the game. I understand that people will see a video and they might not like it, and they say, oh, I want to go there and share my distaste. First of all, it keeps you angry, keeps you down. But it makes them money. That's why they do it. And because people continue to do it, it's an incentive to continue onward. So if you think this is the only time this has happened, you are mistaken. And if you think this is the only time this will happen, you are sadly mistaken. News does not investigate. During that ABC interview, that quote-unquote reporter did nothing but sit there and feed into his agenda while he's sitting there crying, ironically talking about the truth. What questions did she ask? And this is why I tell people, even Fox News is not 100% trustworthy. Just because they're not as bad as the others. That's like saying a person that beats people half to death is a better person that beats people all the way to death. Wrong is still wrong, even if it's not as bad. You may have a poop sandwich in one hand and a vomit sandwich in the other. One might taste better, but you're not going to jump for joy that you have to eat either one, even if you have the choice. The choice is, see, here's the thing. If you have in your left hand a poop sandwich and a right hand you have a vomit sandwich, people assume those are your only two options. Well, believe it or not, there is a third option where you take neither. And that's why I've tried to tell people for years, there's a reason for symbolism throughout history. It is about teaching the people that were uneducated and unable to read to be able to understand things, or what I like to call understand things, through symbolism. Our national bird is the eagle. The bird has two wings. They are spread far and wide, giving the illusion of separation. You have a left wing and you have a right wing. When their wings are spread apart, it looks like they're divided. All you have to do is follow the wings inward and you see they are attached to the same entity. You don't see any poor Democrats. You don't see any poor Republicans in politics. They make lots of money off of the expense of the people, the herd, the sheep. The ones that even think they are awoken because they continually go and do things like go on other people's websites just to trash them, thinking they're being morally just. In this government, which started out as a republic and not a democracy, because democracy is mob rule, ladies and gentlemen. That's why it doesn't say, and to the democracy for which we stand. It says, to the republic for which we stand. But under this constitution, there's a reason why there's the word con in it. It's right there hidden in plain sight. Laws are created and can be changed by the consent of the governed. When you don't argue it, you are still giving your consent. This is why they want you to be outraged. This is why they want you to riot and protest and do all these things, because you're still not arguing it. It's like you standing there and somebody's repeatedly punching you and you hold up a sign saying how unfair this is. It's not changing anything. So the problem is, this original republic was supposed to be that we, the people, dictated what the government did for our best interests. So this way, they would be in charge if somebody stole or murdered. They would do the regulations that were necessary. But we became so fat and lazy and given all these free rides that we allow them to do anything. And we've forgotten the fact that it's we the people who make the ultimate decision. But we the people are so distracted by these things that we've lost our power. We've lost our voice. Democrats and Republicans benefit from, let's say, for example, people crossing the border. Why? Because people crossing the border are leaving countries where they're probably making 35 cents a day to a place where they can make $15 an hour, which won't make them wealthy, but it'll definitely give them a better life. But to get that, they got to keep voting Democrat. Well, if you're a Democratic politician and you can get people to come in illegally that you can take care of and pretend you're kind, even though you don't let any of them into your town or your home, you'll get lots of votes. Well, why do the Republicans like that? Well, the wealthy Republicans, they get a lot of people that they hire illegally to do work for them. It makes cheap labor. They both benefit, and we want to keep picking sides. This government, and all governments basically that give you the illusion of choice, say, okay, you can choose whether I punch you with my left hand and steal from your wallet with my left hand, or you can choose my right hand to punch you in the face and steal from your wallet from my right hand. It's an illusion of choice. You are making the choice which one punches you in the face and which one steals from your pocket, instead of saying, I don't want either one to punch me in the face, and you don't have the right to take what I earned. But we accept it because, again, tell a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. And the amazing part is, you'll see videos all over the place about this Jussie Smollett case. They will have 35,000 views, 350,000 views, 1.5 million views, and then you will look at a video like this that tells you there's a bigger picture than just one side of a two-sided coin. I would be doubtful if this got more than 1,000 views. They silence truth. They don't want people to think for themselves. Why do you think, especially on the Democratic side, and that why they want so much welfare? And then you have people like Ocasio-Cortez wanting to give away everything for free. Sounds nice until you realize you have to pay for it. When you are on food stamps, yes, it sounds like a great thing, but you will never become a success. You will never own your own business. You will never get out of the ditch that they're dug for you. They build a ditch that you can't get out of and dump down some food and water and a little bit of minor shelter so you don't freeze to death and you don't starve to death. And you think they're doing a good thing. Well, all it's doing is keeping you entrapped. Because if you want that welfare benefit and you are not one of those people that is really legitimately needing it because maybe you're disabled or some other situation keeps you from doing what the average person can do, well, the idea of food stamps and welfare programs is to keep you poor, keep you down. You will never rise above. In a truly free society, you should be able to do whatever you want, which means you could fail through your own laziness, or you can succeed beyond your wildest dreams. How many people that make six-figured incomes are on the welfare program? Not a one. How many people on the welfare program have six-figured incomes? Not a one. They don't like us free thinkers. That's why this video will be instantly flagged. It will not be seen unless you guys and girls share it and hear the message. The media is there to divide us. Let me give you a situation. I listen to Trump. I would rather have Trump more than Hillary, but do I think Trump is the savior of all mankind and he was sent from God? Heck no. But just because I happen to listen to what he says and agree with many things doesn't mean I agree with everything, because, by the way, we are still run by the Federal Reserve. He's still allowing Federal Reserve notes. He's still allowing banks to control our monetary system. Anyone ever stop and think about that? The last president that tried to do anything about fixing the Federal Reserve note was John F. Kennedy, and look what happened to him. So Trump is not the savior of all mankind. Can he be? I guess we'll find out. But you notice even people on the Republican side have made problems for him. The point of the matter is, you got to think deeper than your own personal bias. You have to see the biggest picture. That means looking at all sides. And the girl Monica says, I love Trump, nothing wrong with him. Well, if you see that, then you're seeing one side of the coin. Because like I said, the Federal Reserve is what creates our debt, which creates these paper debt notes that you have to work for to be able to survive. You need these fiat dollars so you could not die in a hospital, so you don't starve to death. And how do you get them? By working. You take the chains off the slaves, they tend to work without running away. So a statement that says you love Trump, there's nothing wrong with him, means, unfortunately, you have a bias that you're not seeing all sides from. The lesser of two evils is still evil. If you had to pick between Satan and Hitler, which, by the way, everybody calls everybody Hitler these days, which really takes away the evilness of that person. But when you take the lesser of two evils, they're still evil. If you pick between Hitler and Satan, you're not getting anything good. One might be a little bit better. That doesn't mean it's good. So if Trump was to get rid of the Federal Reserve, go back to either a gold standard or find some other way, then I could think a little bit more about it. Remember, he's a business person. He's a wealthy business person. If people think a president is in charge of a company called the Corporation of the United States, you are not paying attention and you're not digging in deep enough. Those who control the gold make the rules. It's called the Golden Rule. Why do you think it only took $3,500 for this actor to get two people to basically cause a major division in the United States by causing a fake hate crime? There are people that will take very minimal amounts of money to do very corrupt and destructive and harmful things. We need to think a little bit deeper. You know, sometimes the evilest of people come at you as their best friends. You ever watch a mafia movie? You ever notice that when they want to off somebody, it tends to be their closest friend that does it? Why? Because you trust your best friend. That's how you can get close to somebody. Be very careful about the politician who makes lots of money off of you, the people, pretending to be on your side and pretending that they're just like you. Now, they could be. And I could be wrong, but how about they prove it first? If Jussie Smollett ends up no jail time, what does that tell the rest of America and the rest of the world? That it's okay to basically make up a crime that makes people hate others and probably would have created lots of violence and at the very least very much a lot of division? And you should not be punished for that? And if you're wealthy enough, you can buy your way out of things? Is that what we want to teach people in this world? That justice is only just for them and not us? So it shouldn't be called justice, it should be called just them. Because it seems like if you're wealthy enough or you have the right connections, you could literally get away with murder. And the news media right now is trying to make you feel sorry for this person. Oh, if he only had better PR. I'll say straight out, Don Lemon, who will never hear this video, you're a straight out idiot. And if you think that's a racial comment, you are a doubly stupid idiot. To say he had bad PR? How about the fact that he almost single-handedly could have created a race war where innocent people would have been injured, potentially even murdered, because somebody made up a story to increase their ability to sell books and get better TV and movie deals? Shame on 90% of the people out there in all of Hollywood that jumped down this without one bit of evidence. And when the evidence starts coming out, all of a sudden they just delete their tweets and they become very silent. And you have news articles that say, oh, we only wish this could be true. You're saying you wish that there were two white people that were Trump supporters were going around putting nooses on African Americans' necks, pouring bleach on them and saying, You know, this is MAGA country. You wish that to be true? There is something mentally wrong with people if that is their idealism. So unfortunately, people are too emotionally involved. You could love Trump all you want, but if you see him as the savior sent from God, I'm sorry, you are wrong. I don't think he's sent from the devil either, and he could have all the intentions in the world, but in a corrupt system, single people cannot change the world. I don't care if there was really a Superman living on this planet right now who could move at the speed of light. You think Superman could be everywhere saving everyone at the exact same moment everything happens? Doesn't work that way. My point is to get you to think differently. Get out of the trapped system. The news is WrestleMania. You have the good guys like Hulk Hogan. You have the bad guys like the Iron Sheik, and this is showing my age because this is all 80s wrestling. When the cameras are rolling, they're pretending to put their fists up, want to hurt each other, insulting each other, and looking like they don't like each other. But when the cameras are off, they're probably out drinking beers and hooking up with women and sharing all wonderful camp stories and spending time with their families together. These politicians on both sides, anywhere in the world, you think they're fighting for you? There's a difference between fighting and winning. Here's the problem. This whole world is taught to fight. Where's the love? Where is the compassion? Where is the people helping one another? Where are the stories of somebody saving somebody's life? They got plenty of different clips that you can view of somebody taking or trying to take somebody's life. They're keeping everybody in a negative point of view. And I only get frustrated because it does affect me in a certain way, even though not in a grand scheme of things. You got to start thinking for yourself. This is how they entrap people. It's the whole good cop, bad cop. They're both cashing in. While you're protecting one politician or another, one news media outlet over another, they're both reaching their hands into your pocket and stealing what they don't deserve to get from you. You earned everything that you have if you did it legitimately. And yet we allow people to manipulate us. Remember, you got to take responsibility. So I hope this Jussie Smollett ends up in prison. I don't feel sorry for somebody who decided one day to do the wrong thing. And I hope if some other politicians thwarted him to do or created the situation, and I'm not saying that's the case, but if they were politicians that got him to do this so they can pass certain agendas, he'll squeal. Because that's the thing. There is no honor amongst thieves. If somebody can get a plea deal like those two brothers, the reason they weren't charged is because they plea dealed. That means they were ready to give up him, Jussie, to save their own skin. That's what criminals do, especially on the lower levels. But if you think any country around the world is run by your president or by your ambassador or by your king or whatever, you don't understand how the world works. Because if it takes only $3,500 to get two people to want to basically start a race war and be okay with it, just imagine what $100,000 can do. What $1 million can do. What $1 billion can do. George Soros. I hope people will start to understand that you have more control over your life than you will ever understand. It's when you doubt yourself or doubt those words that you allow other people to control your life and the way you live it. Especially through your silence and ignorance. And I'm sorry if that offends people. If you spend your whole life having others tell you how to live your life, what kind of life are you living? Follow the money, follow the trends. I can almost guarantee, and this is just my own assumption, I could be wrong, that this Jussie Smollett case is going to go way deeper than what we're seeing right now. So if all of a sudden you're going to see all these different states all of a sudden talk about, well, we need more security cameras because look how good we stopped an evil crime from happening. Yay! And people will cheer it. It's a shame. And Bake the Snake says a good thing. Trump isn't the savior. He could be, but we don't know. But clearly isn't racist and sexist like the media makes him out to be. Well, let's put it this way. By their deeds you shall know them. How many people out there are basing things on people's word? Watch this Jussie Smollett interview that he did with ABC. He gave a good convincing role there. And that quote-unquote reporter didn't do her job. So is that an agenda? Or was she just a stupid reporter who didn't know what investigative reporting was all about? Look at Don Lemon, where he says on record that he was texting Jussie Smollett to make sure he was okay. So a reporter was contacting somebody just because they were both African American and just because they were both gay, instead of asking questions like a reporter is supposed to do. These are opinions now that influence other people, because unfortunately, there are stupid people in the world that if this story would have ended up, if they got away with it, others would have hurt others based on a fabrication. So this is where silence can create violence, and I've been warning people about this for years. It's not going to go away. There are too many stupid people out there who will believe these things and actually wish harm on others. The media has gotten a lot of people to be convinced that if you wear a red hat that says "Make America Great Again," you are a racist, you are a sexist, you are a Nazi. How stupid is that? Now, does that mean there aren't any that could fit into those categories? You never know. But if you are a person that can link any group into one particular group, welcome to groupthink. Because even on the left, not every single person on the left thinks the way that the media does. But people are very quick to put people into a category because it makes it easier. Be the exception, not the rule. Think for yourself. People will attack you. They will gang up on you because they think they get their power through their ability to create others for their fitting of their agenda. True strength is standing up on your own and doing it yourself. I'll get attacked. I'll get the thumbs down. I'll have people saying what they've been saying for years. Right is right, regardless of how many people tell you the opposite. Like I've said before, millions of people were convinced for thousands of years that the world is flat because the world was told that. Now, do I know if the earth is flat or round? Who knows? I haven't left the planet to verify it. With 3D imaging and all these special effects these days, they can create anything. My point is, be an investigative reporter. Don't base it on your feelings. Don't base it on your emotion. Don't just say because you're on one side of the coin that the other side doesn't exist. Sometimes you can learn more from your worst enemy than you can your best friend. And sometimes you could just learn what not to do. But people on both sides are so afraid to see the whole picture, they wonder why their pictures are never complete. And B-Man says, first and foremost, you have to know that Washington, D.C. is a foreign country. I've been teaching that since 2011. All you have to do is look at my #1 video. It's called The Truth About the United States Law and You. I've been telling people that since 2011. I've been called crazy. I've been called a tin hat conspiracy theorist. Wait until people find out that things like the Boston Marathon and Sandy Hook were basically done by crisis actors. There's plenty of proof that you could find about it. But what will happen is most people, when they hear that, automatically roll their eyes, and they fall into the category of cognitive dissidence. Cognitive dissonance, where you automatically dismiss something before you even try and search for it. Congratulations, you're one of the controlled. So my hope is people that listen to the very few people, because right now there's 36 people watching this. I have 45,000 people on this channel. 36 people are watching. You think that's by accident? Now, I can understand if I was putting out garbage material for the years, but if you read the comments, especially on my Truth of the United States and Law videos and all those others, get plenty of people thanking me. So I don't get many comments that say, oh, this is garbage, this is nonsense, because people are not stupid. YouTube is part of the left. The left is part of the media that silences people. So in a way, it does affect me, because all the views that I didn't get because they silence it means income that I've lost. You know how many thousands of dollars I've probably lost over the years? And yet I still do it because it's not about the money. But it would have been nice to have it, especially when you earn it. So you have to see the bigger picture. There's a reason why, and I'll leave it at this, there's a reason why when you visit the Vatican and you visit the Pope, no matter what amount of power you have in the world, you get down on your knees and kiss the ring. That's not for a publicity stunt. Kings do not bow down to anyone who's inferior to them. It's the opposite. So, on that note, whether you want to listen to that, whether you want to roll your eyes, whether you want to say it's a crazy conspiracy theory, or if you want to research it, that's up to you. I have no sympathy for this person who had a nice career. I mean, how many of us wish we could get $30,000, $20,000, even $1,000 an episode to be on a TV show and loved throughout the world? And he threw it away for, at the very least, to bring his own career up, and for hypothetical things to help others in politics create an agenda. Whether that happens or not, we may never know. Could be another crazy Chris conspiracy theory. I don't have the evidence, so all I can do is speculate. Guess I should work for CNN. So thank you for listening. If you want to like it, I'd love that. If you want to share it, good luck with that, because most of the time the links will not work. I'm sure that's not accidental. But the one thing I want to make as a point, yes, they are silencing me and many others. But they obviously can't silence everyone, because some of you are here. Keep that in mind. If you can help one person see things in a different point of view and make them start investigating instead of feeling, instead of opinion, instead of just thinking, oh, I'm on one side of the coin, so it's always right. If you're on one side of a coin, you're not 100% right. And if you think you are, and you think your side is, congratulations, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. Think for yourself. Don't be afraid to question, even if to just correct a mistake. Otherwise, things like what happened with Jussie Smollett will continue to happen, continue to outrage, and somebody will be smarter with their hoax, and somebody will get hurt. Is that the world you want to live in? And if you don't, you better start holding these quote-unquote news organizations accountable, Hollywood accountable. Now, I'm not saying stoop to their level. Don't make up stories. Don't create violence. The world will always live in violence if that's what you want. There's ways to get things done without having to hurt people. Sometimes you just got to walk away. Sometimes you got to no longer give them your money. Sometimes you just got to make a stand for what's right, and that's why I'm doing this. It won't be heard. I won't be, interviewed on Fox or some other news outlet. I won't be on the Joe Rogan show or Ben Shapiro show. And that's okay. I don't do it for that. I do it because right is right regardless of what you get from it. More and more people need that. It's called integrity. And it doesn't mean I get everything right. And I will never sit here and say I get things 100% right. Heck, some of the things I said in this very video were pure speculation and assumption. But I'm not afraid to admit that. So thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this little rant. And I look forward to seeing justice be prevailed, but I'm not holding my breath on it. So if this gentleman, and I say that loosely, gets away with this with nothing more than basically some hours of community service, then they're telling you that laws don't apply to everybody equally. And if that's the case, I feel sorry for people. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.